Hello folks, welcome. So MX23, KDE Plasma. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about firewalls and KDE Connect. KDE Connect can be used on smartphones. I have an iPhone here. Different Linux family desktops to share files, whether that's incoming or outgoing. Firewalls are important when it comes to when the firewalls are active. You need certain rules to make things work. You can certainly turn off firewalls, but a lot of people like to have firewalls on for many reasons. And I'm going to talk about two firewalls. The one that comes installed natively and another one called GovW. That one's a simple firewall. I'll also talk about pairing, and all of these are connected on the same Wi-Fi, Can't emphasize that enough. I'm filming in 1080. So again, welcome folks. Adjust your YouTube player accordingly if necessary. I highly recommend that you subscribe. This video will definitely be more than 15 minutes. I'll talk about these connectors. Again, I have an iPhone, a laptop, and a tower computer. I'll talk about how to organize your files in your download folder so they're not scattered all over the place. And I'll also talk about how to actually send a folder using a tar file instead of the folder name. These are non-compressed. Okay? Because when you click on a folder, KDE Connect does not show up in the menu. Only the files. It's generally designed for that. But you may not see this elsewhere. I'm going to show you how to do this. Again, I do recommend subscription and watching the video from its entirety. Let's start with the most basic concept. Are you using a firewall? If you are, do you have firewall rules? Because I can tell you this came right out of the box when I installed this MX distribution yesterday as of 11.3. KDE Connect would not work until I fixed those firewall rules. And you may have the same affliction. So I'm going to first suggest, if you want to continue using that firewall, is to, wrong icon, is to open up the Discover Software Center and type in the word firewall. Because this is not installed by default. What am I talking about? Well, it is the firewall configuration tool. You can see that it says remove. So install that if you want to continue using the same firewall that came with MX KDE Plasma. When you do that, you can actually, using KRunner, type in Firewall and look for that brick. Okay, so we can open it this way. Providing it's running, you should get a password prompt. If the firewall is not running, you'll get an error. This is a systemd type of firewall, so let me cover this really quick and then we'll move on. I have this machine booted with systemd, by the way. All right, anyways, moving along. So in here, we have runtime and permanent. Runtime is like temporary. What kind of firewall is this? It's Red Hat. Okay, and some people find this complex to configure, but I'm going to try to shed some light. The GovW is almost anyone can figure out how to do that, but I'll give you some tips on that one too. But generally, I'm going to focus in on what is installed on your system, which is KDE Connect and this firewall. And you're trying to connect maybe your iPhone to it, and it's not working. That's because there's certain things that are blocking you. But we want to do this in permanent, because permanent settings are what the settings are when you reboot. All right. In public, you scroll down to, and these are in alphabetical, you go find in KDE Connect, because that's what we're talking about. This will normally not be clicked. This will normally be off. When I turn it off, you'll see changes applied. When I turn it back on, same thing. In general, this is sufficient. You should be able to now close and reboot. But I like to add some ports. Now, where did I come up with these? Well, I'll do it on a text document first. Let me open up a couple of things. I'm going to go to my demo drive and my firewall. I threw together a bunch of, well, one is a screenshot and the other ones are text files. So for MX KDE Plasma, I recommend that you toss on these ports for a little bit of more, well, if you want to call it that, to be absolutely sure things work. 1714 through 1764. I'm highlighting that because I don't want to retype that. And you're going to do that with UDP and TCP. You don't have to. You can try this first. I like to plug these in. But I'm going to erase these so you can see how this is done. I'm in permanent. Services, I have KDE Connect turned on. Again, when I toggle that, you can see the changes. They're immediate. However, the firewall still needs to be rebooted. Or I should say the computer is the easiest way. You can certainly use terminal commands, and I'll show you a couple of them to turn services on and off. But generally KDE Connect, and then we can plug in ports. All right, so I'm going to hit add. I already copied that thing on that text file. So it's ports 1714 through 1764. TCP first, hit OK. Add a second layer. Same ports, this time UDP. All right, changes have been applied. In permanent. If you do it in runtime, it's temporary. Okay? My recommendation at this point is reboot. Okay? Now, let me show you some Firewalld information. All right, you can make a screenshot of this if you like. I just typed this out. So Firewalld is stuff. It's made by Red Hat. Okay, so the runtime just means it's temporary. The permanent, those two things I was just showing you on the screen, saves and will hold after a reboot. If you want to see the status, I typed in the command in here for you, if you'd like, providing you're running systemd, and I'll use console for this. It doesn't require a password. It just tells you if the service is running or not. And you can see mine is. It says active on it. All right, here's a couple more command. I would probably shy away from the reloads, but if you want to start and stop, that's sudo systemctl stop firewalld, and then restart is the opposite. Okay. And then, of course, there's prevention also. Disable. So that was for the Plasma MX. Ranges, again, plug them in if you want to be absolutely sure. The firewall, you can also check over here. You're going to be required with a whole bunch of passwords here. Kind of a funny box here. I'm not sure why it's logging in this many times, but you can see that's enabled. And you can see that I'm using KDE Connect ports here. Okay? But more importantly, it requires a reboot after you make some changes using this tool here. The firewall configuration tool is not found by default. You will have to install it. And that is done through your KDE Connect store. Okay, so this is a different area, but I just showed that a couple of minutes ago in a different way because I clicked the the settings box earlier. It's currently closed. Anyways, settings. Now, if you decide to use the GovW firewall, I would highly suggest that you disable this one. The GovW firewall has to be installed. you can find it in enabled repos. So if you start this way, you will find nothing in popular. And as soon as you hit enabled with the same search criteria, it's sitting right in front of you. This is a graphical user firewall, also known as UFW. You can install that. And again, my suggestion is disable the other firewall. After install, you'll find it in your menu. And a typical screenshot for that, I don't think I need to walk through the whole settings. This is a very common firewall. It's also found on MX23XF CE desktop as their default firewall. Is that big enough for you? It also uses the same port numbers as I just plugged in on the Red Hat firewall. 1714 through 1764 TCP and also UDP. Okay, I have these rules duplicated for version 6 IP also. There's two different versions, IP4, IP6. Not that you need to know that. How easy is it to do this? Well, if you have that off, it doesn't need rules, just like the other firewall. When the other firewall is on, you need rules. When the other firewall is off, you don't need rules. Everything should work because it doesn't block anything incoming. The same thing goes with this firewall. It just tells you that right there. If the firewall is black and white, it's off. You don't need rules. When it's on, it's colored. It's set to deny incoming. And you better have some rules to allow things to work, like KDE Connect, for instance. How do you put in rules? Do you have to hand type them? No. You click the plus key, you'll get a pop-up box, and you can, in the search field, type in KDE. You'll see KDE Connect populate. Should be the second item down. Will say the default is incoming, allow incoming. You can actually click that and say allow both incoming and outgoing. I like that feature. I'm just strange that way. It's just my way of doing things. I like to see outgoing rules, but that's just funny. This says allow outgoing. I like to still see them. Doesn't hurt anything. Generally, if you kept the defaults, you get 3 or 4 rules. I like the 8. I'm just funny that way. Version 6 and version 4. Do not run both firewalls at the same time. You may confuse yourself. Now, another thing I'm going to make quick mention of. Did you know you can boot your machine 2 ways? All right, I'm using systemd. There's another way of booting in here. You may have paid attention to advanced options on your boot up screen. Well, there are several options in here. All right, there's 2 different kernels, but there's this way or systemd. I'm using systemd. You can see that right there. Because if your firewall errors out when you're doing the configuration tool, it's more likely why. You can also change your timeout. You can always turn off your firewall to test all this stuff and then turn the firewalls on to see if everything works. When your firewalls are on, when you reboot, you should be able to find devices on the same Wi-Fi if the KDE apps are open on those devices. Now, on an iPhone, just to give you an example, I'm holding it in my hand. As soon as I go check text messaging, I'm not going to close the app, I'm going to minimize it. The connector goes away. It says disconnected. Not only here, but also down here, if you're unfamiliar with these tools. When I have the KDE app facing me on the iPhone, it reconnects. And you can see the battery usage here also, not reported here. This also has a battery usage on my laptop, which is currently at 67%. So I'm going to try to hurry up with this video. The other one's a tower computer, it doesn't use a battery. All right, some house cleaning. If you want to do this, instead of have all your files dumped into one location, you can create independent containers. We call them folders or directories. Right-click, create. How do you actually assign them, though? That's done through here. You find your KDE Connect. I have a shortcut of it here. You just type for it, and you do it from here. This is the name of this computer, and that can be changed also. If you do, you may have to repair things. Here's the encryption code for the iPhone. Here's the encryption code for that laptop, and you get the idea. I can also slide this down and do share and receive and hit the gearbox. The default is generally that. On all Linux family desktops that run KDE Connect, it is always their home folder downloads. I'm putting it into a subfolder, so I can do it this way. Okay, so I just assigned that to a subfolder, so it doesn't dump the files in my download folder, it puts it in there instead. I do the same thing with all three. You can also do a refresh. On some distributions, including MX23XFCE, I found this broken, where the help didn't open. You may have a different success, but that's okay. I don't rarely ever use that. But the refresh did work on MX23XFCE without a problem in all the connections. The only difference on an XFCE desktop, it doesn't post any information when it receives a file. I'm going to send something from this laptop. I think it's just an image. And let's go to MX. You can see that it received a file. You can't see anything because, again, it was received in here. I'll resend these. Let's do 1, 2, 3 files. One is a all right, 3 files received. Again, these are the notification system is a lot better on the Plasma desktops than on XFCEs. 2 differences obviously are the desktops. One is Plasma, the other one XFCE, and XFCE desktops are lightweight desktops. The notification system that XFCE uses is XFCE4-Notify-D, and doesn't handle messaging as well with the KDE app, KDE Connect app. However, I understand there's a developer working on that. I saw part of the project on GitHub the other day. Anyways, I'm not going to mention the developer's name. Now, why did I send a tar file here? Because there's stuff in there, that's why. So let me go with the other way. We're sending now. And get rid of these, so they don't confuse you. So I have 2 folders and a bunch of files. Single files, right click. Send to iPhone, the other 2 computers. Just a PDF. Now, if I'm going to send an icon folder, it more likely will not be the iPhone. So right-clicking does not give me the option of even sending via KDE Connect. It doesn't send folders. It's not designed to. You can select multiple files, though, and send via KDE Connect to all these devices. How do you get around sending? And you may not find this information anywhere. I'm going to send this icon folder directly to the laptop, but I'm going to have to convert it. Right-click, KEC compress to a tar file. Tar is not compressed. Tape archive has been around since the Unix days, like me. We call them a tar ball. I like to nickname that tar box, because that's what it looks like. What's in the box? Several folders and several icons. I'm going to send that to the laptop. You will hear it chiming. It's finished. That was a pretty big file. It's 50 megabytes, roughly. Okay, I'm going to walk over to downloads and erase everything and send that same file back. And or I could send a different one. Yeah, let me do a different one. Actually, two of them. All right, you can see two files just got received. So this is in the same format. tar can be opened on any Linux distro. And I believe even Windows can open up a tar file. But tar is not compressed. So tar files have a lot of stuff in them. These happen to be just different scripts that I wrote. And I will just pull out one because I don't want to extract all of them. That's one of the benefits of using this tar file, but more importantly, I can transmit a complete folder this way. So one more time on this, if I wanted to use that tar file and have it received on my laptop, for instance, let me open up the download folder again. I want to clear the buffer out of my laptop. I got lots of mess over here. And now this time I'm going to send this one. This one has just that firewall information that I actually presented on the screen a couple of minutes ago. And then I'm going to convert that also to a quick tar file and send it. Actually, I can send both of them. So this will be pretty big. All right, so this is going to the laptop. And you can see it's in process. And it's finished. I have two tar files sitting on the laptop. You can probably hear it go chirp, chirp. So I got around sending folders this way. What do I need to do with the tar file afterwards? That's up to you. I'm just going to delete them. I don't need those because I have the original folders. But the cool thing about these kind of tar files, when they get received on the other end from, let me wipe this clean. I'm going to resend that back. I'll do the icon folder. Send with KDE Connect on the laptop to the MX machine. And there it is. There's a partial. You can still see it's receiving. It's a big file. And again, this is 50 megabytes. I don't have to extract the whole thing. I don't know if you've ever done this. I've done this on quite a few of these Linux laptops. I just wanted to extract one thing. Or find another icon, maybe. All right, it just did a screen refresh. That's all that is. That came out of the box. And this is sitting in one container. I can leave it in here, or I can move it into my regular file system. That's why I like this kind of organization. That is all achieved through going through here, and again, setting it in here. Now I'm going to show you something scary. Since I'm connected directly to KDE Connect on my iPhone, I can verify that by letting you see that. I'm going to show you this on a screenshot, and then I'm going to show it to you actually while I'm doing this live. On the iPhone, there is an area when you are looking at information on your iPhone, depending on what machine you're connected to, where you can send the photos and videos and files, but you can also do remote input. When I click this, I'm going to take my finger on my iPhone and move this mouse on this screen around and close this box. My hand is completely off the mouse on my MX machine, and I'm going to click my iPhone remote input and move that mouse cursor. It is live. Be careful with this one if you're playing. I'm going to actually close that. It's touch on my iPhone. I just closed that box literally using remote control. So you be careful with settings like that. All right, so Sometimes we need to take things offline, and sometimes we don't. If you are not wanting to trust the machine anymore, you can always unpair these things, and they are no longer trusted. My iPhone is sitting there with a pair request. So if I do it from this end or the other end, I'll do it both ways. I'll request it from the iPhone. You get a post-it note. You accept. You're now connected. I'm going to depair it. And then I'm going to do the request from this machine to the iPhone. Not trusted. Click. Pair. I get a prompt on my iPhone, and I accepted it. Now they're back online. I'm at 25 minutes, and GovW again is one option for Firewalld, and I'll give you these one more time that you can make screenshots if you like. And this is Firewalld information. Again, that's the Red Hat firewall. The definition between runtime and permanent, how to do a status message in your terminal box, and how to stop and start services. You can always back this up. A couple of GovW tips. And again, GovW is this firewall, the simple one. Same thing with the ports on that. And this is for KDE for the ranges. And I don't have a screenshot, but that's done with that Firewalld configuration box. And again, you can add those ranges for UDP and TCP. You can always turn off your firewalls if you are really confused. And then again, you can organize your folders, and you can also compress this into a tar and send the complete folder this way. Because trying to send a folder, you don't have the option of sending via KDE Connect. You need to make it a compressed file, and that's my workaround. I'm sure there may be some other thought patterns in there. You can compress it too, but tar is not compressed. You can even mix it in. I can send all three over to the laptop. You can see it's sending 3. I'm at 27 minutes. I'll say thanks for watching.